I'm Rachel Davis, and I'm going to be taking you on a memorable journey through the past, present and future of the Penarth Pier. This magnificent pier was first built in 1894, and it first opened its gates exactly a year later. In 1907, a wooden pavilion was added to the pier, and this became a dance venue for the visitors and residents of Penarth. The town of Penarth was also known as the Garden by the Sea. This popular holiday destination was big around the Victorian era. It was a place where people could enjoy the seafront and the spectacular pier pavilion. Penarth Pier has had its fair share of disasters over the years. In the summer of 1931, a fire broke out, resulting in a large portion of the structure being destroyed. In 1947, the 7,130-ton steamship, the SS Port Royal Park, under the flag of the Tavistock Shipping Company, collided with the pier, causing severe damage that was not repaired for several years. Just 19 years later, disaster struck once again, as the white funnel paddler named Bristol Queen hit the pier in 1966. It is said to have caused an estimated amount of £25,000 worth of damage. The pavilion has been a ballroom, a nightclub and a gymnastics hall. Throughout the years, Penarth Pier has formed many magical memories for people of Penarth. Some have found love and others friends for life. We spoke to a selected few from the community to gather their memories of this iconic building.
Going to dances when I was a teenager was very exciting. A little bit risque to go down there.
The best memory I've got is coming back down from Wales to Wales from London with the band I was with up in London and making our first appearance in Wales after having done national television and had records and all that. So, and I think that's the biggest memory I've got, because the place was packed with people who really are fans, you know, and it was great. And we twisted on stage the first time anyone had seen a twist in Wales, that was.
Well, I got engaged there for the start, in 1941. Well, as a matter of fact, he tried to persuade my whole family were down there with us. And he went round each one of them to try and get them to persuade me to say yes. And I wouldn't, you see, at that time. But by the time we got up to the top of the hill opposite the marina on our way home, I'd accepted them. So that was it.
Well, my earliest memories, I think, were going to a talent competition with my brother and his friend, and we had a folk group, which was very popular at that time, in the style of Peter, Paul and Mary and things like that. And that would have been in the early 60s.
We brought our children up here and had many happy memories of taking the children on the pier, having ice cream, watching the ships and the tankers go by in the bay. And also, two of my grandchildren went to Penarth Gym in the pavilion for two and a half years.
My fondest memory of Penarth Pier is going to the dances there, and then later on a nightclub, which was very subdued lighting, and you know, it was a sort of place people went who weren't sort of partnered.
I met my husband there in 1959 in the Marina dance hall. Dancing. I was wearing stiletto heels, and whilst we were dancing, somehow or other, my heel got caught inside his shoe, which was probably quite painful for him, because he was hopping around, but I couldn't stop laughing.
Right, well, my earliest memories are of the little fella, the pier master. He used to be dressed like a Royal Naval officer. He used to open up the pier in the mornings, and you had to pay threepence to get onto the pier. And just as you walk through the entrance, there used to be, I think it was an old Second World War mine. It used to be painted red and white that they converted into like a money box. I can remember seeing Punch and Judy on the pier.
I also spoke with local legend Stan Stennett to reminisce over his memories of the pavilion.
I knew Penarth, I know Penarth Pier very well, way back in the days before I went into the forces during the war, because during the beginning of the war I was actually playing in the band in the marina in Penarth, and I continued playing there on and off for quite a few years. Whenever I see it, it takes me back quite naturally to the days of yore, because there was a lot of activity going on in those days. It was used, you know, I think it used to house something like about maybe 300 possibly seated and in dance formation. But no, the old Penarth Pier was something that travelled with me, right, because it was one of the places I'd played a lot at. I really hope that something at long last is going to come the way of the theatre, because lots of people still remember it as a centre of entertainment, and I can only wish that in the not too distant future, give me a chance maybe to go in and maybe do, because I'm a guitar player, I'm a trumpet player, and I do solo works as well, and it would be wonderful to think that at long last the marina would in the future may have Stansted on the top, return to the marina that after all those years.
This building is one of the last piers in South Wales, and to save it from destruction, there's a local organisation trying to raise money to restore this fabulous structure. I went to meet head of the Make It Happen campaign, Maggie Knight, to discuss the future plans of the pavilion.
So I explored the idea of why this was, because I'm not from Penarth, I wondered why this wonderful building was closed to everybody, but at the same time people were using the pier so much. So they explained that there was very little funding to do anything with it, and we worked with Heritage Lottery, which we'd been working with them on a project on pinhole photography, and they thought we'd done a good job. So we then asked them if perhaps we could have a think about how to do it. We were a group that sort of wanted to improve quality of life and do interesting things, and we have the Washington Gallery, which is a lovely building anyway. And we put in a pre-application, which is, I mean, I know a lot of people wonder about these things, but it's just very slowly. And 6 years ago, we started with a pre-application. They liked the vision. I mean, I had something in mind. I wanted to sort of really stress the environmental. I knew that they were interested in the history, so we combined that. And bit by bit, we had development money, we had sort of got support of the Vale Council, and they could see we might do well. And over 6 years, it developed. We've had, you know, years when they've said, no, we can't give you the money, because we've been up against projects like Stonehenge. Eventually won this large amount of money, which was 1.65 million, because we were going to put in an interesting community centre.
It's been a long process.
Long process, but it's positive because we've done it.
It's taken years to get to this stage.
Yeah.
Where do you hope for this to be done?
Well, I think if we get our contractors on site this summer, so if they come in as planned in June or possibly early July now, they estimate it's a one-year project. That means that we should technically be open by July 2013. Is going to be all closed in rooms, and upstairs is going to be an auditorium with cinema. It's actually coming out by one more room, so you'll get a bit more room and you'll see more from the cinema. It's a 70-seater up there, which should also be lecture rooms as well if you want to do lectures. Coming off that level are going to be 2 glass walkways. They'll run across there. They're quite narrow, but when you walk by, you'll see the sea and so on, because those windows will be, you know, it'll be visible, or they'll be sort of a view that you wouldn't have from down here. So that'll be both sides. Then if you look at this sort of this very beautiful big area, this auditorium part, this is the one that's going to be very much the most sort of flexible space. It's going to, could be a wedding, could be a trade exhibition for environmental goods, it could be a big film festival, you could do a sort of a one-off thing, you could have some of the special events we're planning to do, like fashion, eco-fashion and so on, that's going to highlight Welsh design. They'll throw a catwalk down there, and this is going to be a really good space for music, for concerts and so on. We've got a demountable stage, so this has got to be quite sort of flexible. Down there somewhere is going to be some storage where you can pull things in and out. The demountable stage is we're still trying to work out where to fit it in. There's a lot of people who've got great stories from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Even though it was closed, they're still using it right up till sort of about 25 years ago. So we're trying to capture all those, do digital stories and get people to sort of really, appreciate what this building means to them. So there we've got that third, there's the main corner. Here it's going to be all the cafe and all the restaurant, all the facilities, the functions and so on. All the kitchens will be on the left. There'll be lifts over there to take people up to the first floor. There'll be a couple of little stations if you want to come in and have a quick coffee. There'll be bars and so on. As much as possible we want to make that a kind of everyday thing if people come down from early morning right till the evening.
Sounds amazing because we've got something for everyone, haven't we?
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. I think that's the way to get the building moving, is to cross it with a lot of different user groups. And
having spoken to Maggie to discuss the plans and talked about the past, it's time to learn about the future and see what the younger generations of Penarth think of the projects.
One of the ideas we have is for the 95-seat auditorium. In the afternoon, we could be more of teenagers, like movies we grew up with, or movies that come out a few years ago but we haven't had a chance to see.
For the function room, we could plan on coming in events like the proms and stuff that should be coming up or would be coming up. Is a good idea.
We thought the cafe should have low prices and products from the local people, and a chocolate fountain because that would attract lots of ranges of ages.
We think that the multi-purpose room could be used as a gymnasium, so that it'll attract adults, used for wedding receptions, and as youth clubs, as we kids in Penarth don't have one yet, and so that we can talk to each other.
Should we do like a bubble shop?
Yeah. One of our ideas was to have themed nights. So during like the Halloween season, you can watch scary films in the auditorium.
The auditorium also sounds like a good idea because it has many seats, 95, and we think we could host things like talent shows. We don't think the bar close to the auditorium is good either because it may get children to interfere with drunk people or negative atmospheres.
We thought that we could have annual balls and proms because we don't really have them in school till a later age. And on the and have parties on the weekends so that more younger people can interact with each other.
We also thought that having the stage in the multi-purpose area would be good to show the young talent of Penarth.
Thank you for listening and please enjoy the rest of your day.
I'm really pleased and hoping that this will work for everyone in the community. I've seen the plans and it seems to cover every aspect. Film clubs, receptions, coffee lounge, bar, events. I think this is all very important for Penarth community because we have very little like that here at the moment, and I think it will help tourism. It's a lovely building and I'm really thrilled and looking forward to it coming back to life.
Wonderful, and to see it actually close down and go dark. That's especially in show business. We don't like to see any theatre going dark because it takes a long time to lighten it up again. But I'm sure with the right people at the helm and the right initiatives, it'll live again. It'll be a bright beacon on this coast.
Very good for young people, be very good to older groups. It's going to kind of really please a lot of different people. So.